start? We're going to get started because punctuality is my thing and I can't wait for people who are coming late, but they can join in later. A very good evening, everyone. Thank you so much for joining me today. I really appreciate the time you've carved out to come and listen to this talk. I'll try and keep it to an hour, depending on how much you want to talk today. But I've chosen a topic that is very, very close to my heart, a topic that has helped transform my life and is continuing to do so even today. So a brief introduction about me. I am Sweta Bahri. I'm a trained Ashtanga yoga teacher. I've been practicing yoga, can't remember how many years now, in my 20s, and I'm 40 now. I've been teaching for over 10 years now. And it's only in the recent past that I have touched upon that state of being in yoga. And I have started to transition and see the difference between what doing physical yoga can do to you and what being in that state of yoga can do to you. So I'm going to try my level best to share my personal experience with you. And we're going to try and have a conversation today. So I am not somebody who knows everything, but what I know, I will share with you. And any questions along the way, feel free to throw it my way. So I'm going to start by asking you a few questions. I can't see you all properly, but you can just raise your hand. So how many present here today have been practicing yoga in any form? So regularly, irregularly, doesn't matter. Physical, breathing, meditation. I think I can see quite a few hands, right? Yeah, I mean, there are not too many of us, but yes, so quite a few of you. How many amongst you have heard of the practice, but have never had the chance of practicing it or indulging in it? Is there any hand? Please be honest, because it's going to help me in my talk today. There's one. And how many amongst you have never heard of the practice and you have no clue what yoga is? Is there anybody there? No. Right? So this little sample size that I have in front of me, pretty much reflects with the statistics in the world outside. So yoga has become very popular in recent times. Everywhere, every country I visit, everyone's heard of yoga, practicing yoga at their own pace, in their own forms. And yoga is beyond the physical practice. Yes, understood. What we want to try and understand today is how it helps us transition from doing yoga to moving to that state of yoga. So if I asked you today, how would you describe that perfect image of a person who practices yoga? What are the things that come to your mind? Words, description, adjectives, whatever. So, tranquility. One at a time. In the moment. Yes. Anything else? Sorry? Serenity. Anything else? Okay. I heard that. Calm. So all correct answers. There are no wrong answers, right? So what you said perfectly describes a yoga person. But in my view, what perfectly describes a yoga person is one who has perfect alignment between the head and the heart. There's perfect friendship between the two, which means what you think is what you say and what you say is what you do. Nothing comes in between that, right? So maybe it's something that you are already doing and maybe it's something that you want to try and do. And today we'll try and understand this together. So we all have heard of this popular definition of yoga, that yoga is a union of the mind, body, and the soul. So I'm going to try and break each of these for you today, and then we'll work and try and understand the union element of it. So the body, right? So I think everyone in the room present today is very aware of what yoga does to the body. Yoga is the fuel for the body. Yoga helps you reach that holistic state of overall physical well-being. Now, what is being physically fit, right? What does it mean? So you may be doing one thing more of something, less of something else. So in my view, I categorize good health as a body that does the 4 S's, the 4 big S's, right? It is strength, stamina, stretching, stability. So a body that is able to perform these 4 elements efficiently, in my view, is a body that is practicing optimal health, right? So I'm going to touch upon each of these very briefly and how yoga helps you with each of this. Let's try strength. So there's a lot of talk in recent times about strength training. Everybody's pumping proteins and we're talking about building muscular strength, right? Yoga helps you do that without having to take additional help from the outside world. So people who've practiced yoga with me, and I can see quite a few in the room here who have been practicing yoga with me, depending on the type of yoga practice you opt for, yoga can help you dynamically build strength in the body. It helps you build lean muscle without having to pump proteins in the body. So what does muscle do to you? What is the role of muscular strength in the body? It helps you become physically able and independent, right? Because what do muscles do? They hold your bones firmly. How do you become independent and able? Because you're able to get by life easily without depending on people around you. Simple things like, picking up a piece of furniture. You don't have to wait for your partner to come in, carrying your shopping, carrying your groceries with ease, carrying your children, grandchildren without the body complaining. If it's your lucky day, maybe you want to carry your spouse and you feel very nice about it. But anything where you are able to hold that strength in the body. And yoga helps you achieve just that. And not only that, yoga also helps you work with stamina. Stamina is the body's endurance level, where you're able to hold an activity for a moderately prolonged period of time. Where, climbing up a flight of steps without getting breathless, right? You are able to go on long walks and then the knees not complaining after that you did that walk. Running at moderate pace and having a conversation, if that's your idea of fun. And how do we build stamina in yoga? Again, the type of yoga you practice. So, if you opt for a restorative class, it's not going to help you achieve that. But if you opt for an Ashtanga class where you're going from 1 round of sun salutations to 10 or 20, doing your warrior poses, doing your back bends, those who've been practicing yoga know that it helps you build that endurance level, helps you with good heart health. Then the third point is stretching. So most commonly believed myth is that yoga is only for stretching. So everybody who comes to me says, I can't practice yoga because I'm not flexible. Well, that's the whole point, right? You get started with it and then you become flexible. But what does stretching do to your body? What does it do? It helps you build good joint health. So as we all get to wiser ages in life, because we're never going to go back to the 20s and the 30s, or maybe some of you are already in it. But what happens with age is our bones start to lose density, right? Our bones start to get weaker. Muscles hold us, hold the bones around, hold the joints. But as with age, the lubrication between our joints, the fluid starts to reduce. So when you have good strong muscles holding your joints, when you have that supple synovial fluid coming out of your joints, no matter what age you're at, you're not going to complain of a nagging back or neck or elbow or hips or knees, something that I commonly hear about in my classes. So that's stretching. And the last one is stability. Stability is the body's physical awareness in outer space. So, just holding yourself firmly when you're standing with good posture. The clumsiness goes away where you're just not walking into a wall or a tree on the street, or the falls reduce. So you're not just someone who just walks and stumbles upon and falls. And even if that happens, with regular yoga practice, you're going to notice that you're less injury prone. So you become injury free. You become sort of anti-fragile, right? So if you look at 4 S's, yoga helps you achieve all of that and more physically, consistently, with consistent practice. Now, most yoga teachers will tell you this, that, yoga asana, yoga physical practice is a very small part of the practice, of the holistic being. I also say that, but I also add to it, it is small, but it is very important. You cannot ignore the benefits that yoga has on the physical body. It is also the first entry point that you have into this whole world of yoga, through your body. So the first thing that you can do to get started, if you haven't done it already or are not doing it regularly, is take up a yoga class. And the results are very quick. So I'm sure Kishorji here, who's sitting here, I'm going to talk to you a lot today, but he will tell you that. He's been coming to my classes for the last 2 years at Nehru Center. And the range of motion will change. Your ability to do things in your day-to-day life is going to change. And because it's the first entry point, you must give it a go if you haven't done it already. So keeping that in mind, the Nehru Center here has designed a very generous offer, where it's offering complimentary classes, free of cost sessions, where you don't pay a dime. All you need to do is come into the center here every Saturday and Sunday at 8:30 in the room downstairs that I have had the privilege of teaching for the last 2 years. And the classes are very inclusive. So we have 18-year-olds, we have 70-year-olds. And if any one of you here comes to the classes, just raise your hand. Kishore, you need to raise your hand. You need to raise your hand. So we have 70-year-olds, we have 30-year-olds. I actually don't ask people their age when they come to the class. It's irrelevant to me. I'm just working with the body. But I know his age because he told me. So they're inclusive. So all you need to do is have the intention of showing up and leave the rest to the process. So that is the body part of it, right? We'll deal with questions later on so that we just finish everything in time. Coming to the mind part of it, right? Now this is, I've tried my level best to really sum up everything in an hour. It's not easy, but I'm going to brush up on certain concepts here. So, contrary to popular opinion, where people say that, we're not living in good times and, there's so much trouble out there, the world is falling apart and there's so much discrimination and there's battles and wars and whatnot going on, a part of me believes that we are living in good times because there's information available to us which wasn't available back in the days, or we were not so aware of the information available to us. We're now openly talking about mental health. We're talking about mental illnesses. There are research being conducted all across the globe to help us understand the mind, right? The mind is the center point of everything that you think, you do, and say. Everything. And there's a lot of research out there when neuroscientists are now talking about the brain having neuroplasticity, which means they're saying the brain is now like any muscle in the body. Just like you can grow muscles in the body, the physical body, through the right tools, you can actually grow the capacity of your brain. And all the information is laid out there, science-backed, research-backed. But all this refers back to what was already mentioned 5,000 years ago in our ancient texts. We just haven't had the time to read it. Maybe we don't have the awareness to read it. And what Eastern philosophers said was the mind is actually a very difficult enemy to conquer, very difficult, right? Once we decode what's going on in this head of ours, we're pretty much aligned. Head and heart become aligned. Pretty much, we kind of figure ourselves out. So 90% of the conversations that each one of you sitting in this room today has with, who do you have your conversations with? Maximum, 99%. Yes. So you're aware. 99% of the conversations, okay, let's make it 90% because 10% we give it to the outside world as well, right? 90%. How much of the 90% is actually valuable thoughts that fructify into something very productive in your day-to-day life? Just throw a number at me. Nobody's judging you here. No. Oh, come on. Give yourself some benefit. I don't know the actual maths around it, but it is said to believe a very small percentage of it, not zero. Not everything you think is baseless and nonsensical, right? I'm sure there's some sense out there. So let's say 1% of the thought. What is happening to the other, whatever the maths is, 89% of your thoughts? What is happening with it? I have seen people, I have been one of those people who has been in a conversation with somebody, and while I'm talking to somebody, my mind has gone to 10,000 places. I'm thinking about, I need to order uniform for my children. I need to speak to the lawyer because there's something very important going on with some property-related thing. I need to book the dog sitter. And so many things are going on while I'm also having a very involved conversation with the person in front of me. So the mind is capable of multitasking. But should it do that? Should it do that? Yes, no, maybe? Not really. Yeah, it should do that. The thing is, the mind is made, the mind was designed to throw thoughts at you. Constantly keep bringing thoughts to you. It is the mind's job to chatter. And this is when the yoga practice beyond the physical comes in the picture. Right? So we go back to the ancient texts now. We go back to what a text that maybe there are some yoga teachers present in the audience today, but we studied that in our teacher training and it is available to members of public. It's not very easy to read. The language is a bit complicated, but it's called Yoga Sutras of Patanjali. Now, Patanjali is this ancient sage and author who wrote this book. He wrote everything in there of how the mind can be decoded and how each one of us at our own level can understand the complexities of our mind and work through it. Right? In there he states in Sanskrit, I don't expect you to understand it, I will translate that very shortly to you. In there he states, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. So Chitta equal to the mind, Vritti Nirodha means controlling the chatter of the mind, where Patanjali is saying each one of us has inbuilt tools within us to actually manage the chatter of the mind. So the mind is supposed to be busy, all we need to do is become aware of it and we have to learn to manage it. And then he goes on to add that once you start to control the chatter of the mind, you reach a niruddha state, which means all mental activity inside of your head ceases, where you reach a stage where you're sitting and there are no thoughts coming to you. Now, tell me realistically from the lives that you all, each one of you have walked into here, sitting right in front of me, do you think that state is possible in today's world where there's so much information overload, there's so much coming our way? Do you think you can achieve that state? Say yes, no, maybe. Yes. Good, at least you believe in the process. Ask me if I've achieved that state. No, I'm far from it. So I'm also a realist. I'm very honest with myself. I know my limitations, but I'm aware that that state exists, and that makes me curious about learning about that stage. So what I have done is I say there are many stages in the deeper layers of yoga where you first learn to crawl, you look at the baby's growth, you crawl, you walk, then you run, then you take bigger leaps. I'm at the crawling stage of figuring out my mind, and I thought it'll help sharing that with you. So I have divided understanding this chatter of the mind into 5 very, very simple steps. Very simple, very easy to do. You don't need to do a 3-year degree course in any university and top it up with an MBA. You can totally do that sitting in the comforts of wherever you want to, tube, bus, right now, right here, okay? So I have divided them into 5 steps. The first step, all you need to do in your day-to-day life is sit with your thoughts. Is that something that's possible? Where, you know, like you have a doorbell ringing and you have guests coming and you open the door and you welcome them and you let them sit and then you let them talk to you. You don't talk to them. You let them talk. Let them do all the talking. That's the way you'd open the doorway of the mind. Any time in the day, 30 seconds to 10 minutes, whatever your physical and mental capacities, you have to sit with your thoughts. And the thoughts will then range from something being very frivolous to something that you've buried deep within that you've talked to no one about. You know, there are lots of thoughts as we start to grow up that they're secrets within us. We don't tell anybody, but we feel them. They come out in certain forms in the body. And if you learn to bury those thoughts, they're going to have rippling effects in your body, whether you believe it or not. They're going to come out in some way or the other. It's proven. You're going to see them in the form of chronic pain. You're going to see them in the form of illnesses, discomfort in the body. So to avoid that, all you have to do is every single day, morning, night, lunch break, on the tube, in the bus, you find a moment for yourself, sit with those comfortable and very uncomfortable thoughts. At this stage, you have no control on your thoughts. At this stage, you are face to face. Maybe you're not brave enough, maybe you're very vulnerable, and at this stage, emotions will start to come. It'll remind you of things you really didn't want to get reminded of. And that's the first stage of opening the doorways of the mental map, getting deeper into it. You start with 30 seconds, 10 seconds, there'll be days when you can barely get by 5 seconds. Doesn't matter, sit with your thoughts. Second step, I'm going to ask you a question. I can't see you guys properly. Paul, is it possible to switch on the lights a little bit? Is Paul there? Yeah, okay, now I can see you guys, thank God. Right, question. So we all know that we human beings are blessed with five senses. Yes. What is the role of these five senses? What do they help you do? Don't tell me touch, see, feel. I know that, but beyond that, what are they helping you achieve? Aware of our surroundings, yes.
Help us fend for ourselves in terms of protect ourselves from
Any danger or anything you feel. Okay, yeah. Fine. So our five senses are helping us receive the world. Whether they're protecting you, giving you a sense of security or whatever, your five senses are your first point of contact with the world. Everything is going outward, and from the outside, it's coming inside you. You know, you see things, you feel things. That's the first step of how you build your socioeconomic status, right? Everything you've heard, believed, people have told you, you start to then work towards it. People have said, you know, go to this university. People have said, marry this kind of a person. Oh, I'm saying not everybody does that, but that's the role of the five senses, outwardly, constantly outward. And we have conditioned ourselves to believe that going outward is the way to find the nectar of life, is the way to achieve that state of bliss and nirvana. Because, you know, instant gratification. You wear a nice dress, you feel amazing, happy. You buy a nice house, you know, drive a big car, and you feel that is the way. And yes, a part of me believes it is. Spirituality is twofold. One is the connection you have with the outside world. But what we may have forgotten over the years is the inward journey. So you need to have a connection with what's going on inside to then connect with the world outside better. So what is the best way of connecting with that self within is to shut out the five senses. We call it in yoga withdrawing from the five senses. So adding the second step to the first step, sit with your thoughts, but sit with them alone without external influences. Move away from your husbands, children, girlfriends, work colleagues, take away the mobile phone, shut out the window, close them, maybe in a dark room. Then you have no choice, you have no distraction, you have no influence. Because it's just you and those comfortable, uncomfortable thoughts, whatever's going on. Right? And that does a very beautiful thing. And it's helped me in the recent past. It awakens something within you, which we all have, but we've lost touch with it. It is our sixth sense. We all have that sixth sense within us. We all have that intuitive voice within us. Think of moments when you've told yourself, you know, my gut tells me this is not right, or my intuition tells me this is not right, but maybe we don't have the courage to face that intuition because we've made to believe that there is that one person out there, your counselor, your therapist, or whoever's told you to do what to do, right? So when you sit with your thoughts alone, you shut out the five senses, you will start to hear the softer voices of your soul. It does happen. Maybe some of you are already there doing the work. Maybe it's first time for you. But I promise you, that sixth sense is going to help you awaken that intuitive self within, right? That's the second step. So pretty practical, very doable, doesn't require you to do much. Third step, we're going to do a little exercise together now, okay? So we're all going to sit comfortably. I'm not going to expect you to do somersaults, very comfortably. You're going to all stick your thumb out towards me, like this, okay? And now your thumb is facing you. Make sure there's enough gap between them. And now keep staring at your thumb. Keep staring at your thumb. And now start to move the thumb to the area between your eyebrows, but keep staring at your thumb. Keep staring, keep looking at the thumb, even if the thumb is between the eyebrows. And now move the thumb away. And now we come back to where we were. So question, when was the thumb, when did you have a better view of the thumb? When it was right here or when it was right there? Away? Right? Away. What that means is, third step means you need to move away from your thoughts. You need to move away from those situations. You need to move away. You need to step away to get a better view of what's going on in your life. You can never solve problems in a heated argument. I've come to learn it the wrong way. You cannot, you will not. You will only learn to do that when you take a break, you pause, step away. So this is practically in your day-to-day life. I'm talking about when you're sitting with your thoughts, which means, in simple words, you close your eyes, you give yourself the name of the character here. It says, Sweta got into an argument with Amit. Amit is my husband, who's right there. And Amit said something to me, to Sweta, not to me, to Sweta. Then Sweta said something, it became very unpleasant. Then Amit went away. That doesn't happen in a I'm just saying, okay? And, no, we don't write. And Sweta goes away. When you start to look at yourself as the third person, when you start to give yourself that name and you start to view yourself from a distance, the narrative starts to change. You know what happens? Then you start to look at your emotions as a thing, as not you. Then you start to tell yourself, anger was there, anger left. Because it does leave, you know. The monkey mind is such. You've all heard of the term the monkey mind? Yeah? Which means the mind is made to jump. It's like a monkey. It wants to jump from one branch to the other. You know what we do? We hold on to the monkey. We hold on to that branch and say, how dared he do that to me? And why did that happen to me? And I'm not going to let go of that monkey. But you're not letting the mind do what it's meant to do. Is it's meant to flow. It's meant to throw thoughts at you. So when you step away from your thoughts, you start to change the narrative. You start to look at emotions as a thing. You don't start to say, I am an angry person, I am a happy person. Everything comes, everything goes. And let me remind you, this is not a light switch effect. So it's not going to, you go home, do it tomorrow, nothing will change. You might still go back to the world, nothing will change. It's not light switch effect. I'm giving you the steps and giving you an insight into what has worked for me through that awareness of coming to that state of yoga. So when you step away from your thoughts, emotions will start to become things as opposed to a part of you. But sometimes I know we hold a lot or maybe a little amount of trauma within us, memories that we don't want to face and we have come to face because now we're sitting with them. Sometimes emotions will not leave you because they are so strong, right? The emotion of guilt, fear, anger, something that you've gone through years ago, and that emotion doesn't leave you in that process of you facing your thoughts. Then there is something that you can do to change the state of your mind. Again, it's free of cost. Again, it's something that nobody teaches us. We know it from the day we came out of our mother's womb, and yet we're not aware of it. What is it? Breath. So again, it's science-backed. Research is saying what, again, the ancient sages said many, many years ago. It's your breath. If you ever come to that point when you're sitting with that thought and that emotion is not leaving you, that emotion has become integral to you, you're like, oh my God, I'm so angry right now, or I'm so happy right now. You also want the good feelings to pass. Then you start to believe in the power of breathing. And we're going to do it right now, right here. We're going to understand how to breathe. Each one of us sitting here right now is breathing, whether you're aware of it or not. In yoga, we call it consciously breathing. You need to become aware of how is this breath entering your body and how is this breath leaving the body. So we're going to start right now. Ready? All you need to do is, so if you have your legs crossed, you uncross them, sit upright, spine resting on the backrest of your seats. Palms comfortably placed on your thighs, shoulders relaxed. We have to shut out our senses, hard because I'm talking to you, but maybe for now we close our eyes. We close our eyes, and all we want to do is observe our breathing. Just observe how you breathe, maybe from your mouth, maybe from your nose, maybe from somewhere else, I don't know. Just observe. Part of it is also becoming comfortable with the silence that you encounter when you focus on your breathing. Through all the busyness that's going on in the mind, through all the distractions that you may be feeling within you, with your eyes closed, we're all going to start to bring the awareness to how we're letting the breath enter the body through both our nostrils. Simple things. Feel the temperature, if it's cooler, warmer. Let the breath move into the nostrils and let it go deep within into the body to various parts of the body. The exhales be very slow and relaxed, again from your nose, not your mouth. Promise yourself the next 3 or 4 breaths, just you and your breathing, nothing else comes in the way. Thoughts will come, thoughts will go. Deep breaths in, deep breaths out. Few more times. Don't be tempted to open your eyes. Don't rush this process. the softness spreading throughout the body through those exhales. Maybe hear the sound of the breath if you can. Try to maintain stillness in the body if you can. Maybe 2 more breaths here, deep breaths. One more. And slowly and gently open your eyes here. Just keeping your gaze soft. So the 4th step, even if you don't feel stuck in your thoughts, is coming to those deep breaths to learn to shift the state of your mind. And only if you believe in the process will the process fructify for you. Yeah. So that's the 4th step. And I said 5 steps, right? So the 5th step, I don't know because I'm working on it. But the point is that even if you did the first 4 steps, you build the tools that you need to get out there into the world. And in yoga, we call it doing Atma Vichar, which means you start to work on self-inquiry. That's all it takes. All it takes is you start to work inward as opposed to outward. Your senses, whether you like it or not, every day when you get out of bed, you are going to use your 5 senses. You will be receiving the world. Atma Vichar is self-inquiry, where you start to work on the thoughts within you. You start to understand your own journey within. So what is triggering you? What are your reactions? What environment brings out a certain reaction in you? Who are the people? What are the places? What are the experiences that make you feel the way you do? And I'm talking about every emotion here, not just the bad, not just the dark. I'm talking about happiness also. See, nobody talks about this in yoga, but we are celebrating every emotion and we are accepting every emotion. So you also need to think what is working, not working. And then Patanjali says something very beautiful. He says, once you have a true understanding of who you are and what you are, no external influences can disturb you. Simply put, once you start to do the internal work in Atma Vichar and self-inquiry, the need to justify, the need to be heard disappears. Because if somebody tells you something about you that is true, it doesn't affect you because it's true. If something or some place tells you something about you that's not true, it still doesn't affect you because it's not true. You know your core, you've understood, you've done the work. That's when no place, no person, no experience will come into or will become an obstacle. And that's when we start to shift our narrative to saying this is not happening to me. This is happening for me. Everything you go through is part of your journey. You want to start to believe the curveballs that life throws at you and the highs that life takes you to is happening for you. Don't take it personally. It's not happening to you. It's happening for you, for your spiritual growth, awareness, learning. Think of a time in your lives when you felt really, really stuck. You felt stuck, and how long do you think you remained stuck in that phase of your life? I hope I'm not bringing up or opening a can of worms here. But hopefully the answer is you were never stuck in a given phase in your life, whether you liked it or not. The good went away, the bad was going to go away, whether you took help or not, you somehow got by it. So we need to learn to believe in the power of this too shall pass. The good, the bad, the in-between is going to pass. Nothing is going to stay with you. And no matter what societal conditioning you come from, no matter what programming you have put in here in your heads that, you are educated, you are rich, you're poor, you're fat, you're thin, you're beautiful, whatever, once you do this self-inquiry, deep within, you always knew what your purpose was. You know what you're here for. Simple things like when you're eating the wrong things, you know it's not good for you, but you're still eating it, no? You know deep within that's not right. You're with toxic people, you know it's not good for you. You just haven't had the courage to step away to get more clarity. So that is the mind aspect of it, where we start to see the shift only if we do the work. And that work is hard. It's hard work. Anybody who does yoga with me, somebody here rightly calls me a type A yoga teacher. I put you through difficult poses, right? Your body will go through strenuous poses. Ask Kishore here. He will do poses and pretzel poses. He doesn't know how he does it. He does it. At the end of it, he's never stuck in a pose. He comes out of it. That's life. You're never stuck in something. You come out of it. So learning to believe in the process is 2 steps taking you closer to coming to that state of yoga, where you start to see the change in the narrative. It starts with you and only you. That was the mind. The third was the soul, right? So the soul, now the soul is, the soul is a very debatable topic. There are 2 schools of thought. The science-backed, logical, very large prefrontal cortex people will not believe in the soul because they don't believe in what they don't see. You don't see the soul. They believe in the body, the structure, the form. The day this body dies for them, you are over. Part of me believes that. I have come to a balanced view on this, okay? So I do believe in the soul, and I will justify that in a bit, and I'll leave that to you whether you take that home with you or not. So in yoga, 2 terms are constantly thrown in the yogic philosophy. One is Atman, which is the self-soul, and the other one is Brahman, which is the universal soul, right? So again, a question for you. So are we part of the universe, or is the universe part of us? Yes, thank you. But yes, we are part of the universe is part of us, we are all part of the same thing, and this is when the soul comes in the picture. Which means Brahman, the universal soul, represents that nature of yourself which is unchangeable, indestructible, that goes beyond the limitations of time and space. Simply put, you cannot pinpoint when that soul is born. You cannot pinpoint when the soul ends. So I know some of you will find this hard to believe, and it's okay, but just be open-minded to this. I'm getting there. So deep within, in our core, we are all actually spiritual beings. We start off very spiritually the day we leave our mother's womb. When we come into this world, we're actually very spiritual. Through conditioning, we reduce ourselves to human experience, and we think we're human beings who need to come up to the spiritual level. We all start right, somehow get lost in the middle. Very few who are ready to do the work get back on track, right? Now keep that thought in mind that I told you about the soul, right? Doesn't start, doesn't end, and anything, which means the soul is so fluid that it's like a flowing river. So you, sitting in this body has a soul, is no different to the tree on your street. May sound funny to some of you, is no different to the bird that sits in your garden, because we all are connected to pranic life. Okay? I find this beautiful. But that makes me also believe that, there's a divine power above me that is managing me. That's part of me. But keep that thought on hold, okay? That's the soul. The second part, not recently, but maybe last year I read a book, and maybe you've come across this term as well, called the hedonic treadmill. Right? You know what a treadmill is? Like, a treadmill is, for the benefit of those who don't know, it's a equipment in the gym where you stand in one place, and it gives you the belief and thing that you're actually moving, but you're actually not moving, you're in the same place, but it's giving you all the adrenaline that comes with being on a treadmill. And hedonic treadmill means where we start to come to this constant non-stop chase. Again, a part of me thinks it's very important. A little bit of ego is important, otherwise how is mankind going to evolve? I'm not talking about us going back to farmland and then living with cows and going back to caves. No, we need the ego, we need the treadmill. We need to move forward in life. We need to chase our dreams. We need to have them. We need to go and achieve our purpose, our goals, whatever you've set out for yourself, whenever you had the clarity to do so. When does the treadmill become hedonic? When it starts to come in the way of sleep, digestion, relationships, anything that is breaking away from maintaining that equilibrium in life, then it becomes hedonic. So as a society, I'm sure you'll agree, we are all very outcome based. There's instant gratification. Right? There's so much information. Life has become so comfortable. I want food, it comes to my doorstep. I need help, chat GPT, AI, everything. I'm not even thinking here, everything is happening. Because we're so outcome based, the hedonic treadmill has become a non-stop chase. We as human beings have forgotten when to tell ourselves it's enough. We just don't know when it's enough, right? We don't know because, you have children, then you have to look after children. You want them to do well. You have to do well. Your house is 4 bedrooms. Then you say, no, but actually, I am capable of getting. Or maybe somebody who goes to a very well-known university and then they say, I'll get this job. They get the promotion. They want more. And nobody talks about this, but it's an addiction in itself when it comes in the way of self-growth. It's an addiction where there's very less rehab work available. It's an addiction where we get used to the flavor of success that defines our happiness for a short time, and it comes in the way. And this is when the soul comes in the picture. This is when having an idea of what the soul does to your being will put things in perspective. Brings me back to a text that I always go back to time and again, and it's available to all of you. It saved me a lot of money on therapy and counseling. It's called the Bhagavad Gita. Okay, it's not a religious book. It comes from Hindu mythology, but it's not talking about Hinduism at all. Yes, the element of soul is a little bit about the Hindu religion, but you can totally disassociate from that. Bhagavad Gita is set in a battlefield, okay, where 2 family members, they're related to each other, fighting with each other, and the victorious one is going to be the one who kills their own blood. And one member, the conscientious member from that family called Arjun, walks out of the battlefield because he's so righteous. He's learned that he cannot kill people that he's grown up with, and he goes and speaks to this divine figure called Krishna. And this is when I start to believe in the concept of soul as well. Krishna tells Arjun, Arjun, you came empty-handed. You're going to go empty-handed. Nothing in this world owns you, nothing. You may think you have acquired material achievements, but they don't own you, and more importantly, you don't own them. He says, your beginning and your end in this body is defined. We all come with an expiry date in this body, by the way. It's going to finish one day. Whatever you have to do in between is your karma. So you keep doing the work. Don't worry about the outcome. But because as a society, we've become so outcome-led, we start off by making a pyramid of what we want to achieve. We go halfway there, we don't achieve it. And that leads to the biggest word in my job that I'm supposed to help people relieve is stress, right? So the minute the outcome, so quickly tell me what is stress according to you. Just define stress, because if you are stressed, you should know what it is, right? Correct. Absolutely. So it's a gap between expectation and outcome. It keeps going up, 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 up. Stress goes higher, 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 higher. And then you come to a yoga class, and in that one yoga class, physical yoga class, you think your stress will go away. It's not going to go away. How can it go away? I mean, I'm trying my level best, but it's not going to go away. Because you got to start putting things in perspective. You got to believe in the concept of how small you are in the larger. You are so small. Your problems are even smaller, but we have learned to magnify them because our vision is this. And then you miss out on the magic in life. I'm one of those people who is, my husband's thankfully left, but my husband is very logical. I am not illogical. I believe in magic. Magic happens to me. I believe in smaller magic, because I have stopped being outcome-led. So beyond my expectations, things are happening to me. Things that I have never chased. I never even thought I'll be standing here, moving to a different country, talking to an audience here, or many other things. Because I believe in the power of magic, and the day you start to believe that something beyond the outcome can happen to you, you open this infinite potential of exploring what you're capable of. And I'm sure you've heard of stories of people like you and me who go on to do amazing things out there. Like, I can't even imagine people running 75 kilometers, 100 kilometers. They survive, they're hale and hearty. Why? Because they've tapped into their infinite potential within. They're not restricted to outcome. If something doesn't work out, they're open-minded to what the path is going to lead to. Right? This is when I feel the soul starts to give you more perspective. When life throws curveballs at you, you know that you have a karmic journey. You do what you have to do. If things happen your way, fine. If they don't happen your way, something beyond imagination is going to happen. The magic is going to happen. You start to unleash that power. Then your heart is going to be filled with love, compassion, empathy, kindness, and the most important, which I've had a very tough time coping with and I've just come to terms with it, is forgiveness. Forgiveness is a very toxic word now. So what is forgiveness? Anything, just whatever comes to your mind. If you've forgiven someone, letting go. Forgiveness, huh? Yes, and that comes, peace comes when you remember that person or place without an emotion. That day you know you've forgiven yourself and that thing. You know, a lot of times people think forgiveness is, you know, you go back. So you have an abusive relationship with somebody. When you forgive the person doesn't mean you go back and marry them. That's not forgiveness. That's foolishness. Forgiveness is you take it in your stride. You say, it was part of my spiritual growth. It happened to me. I forgive that person and me. We learned from it. No anger. No anger, no frustration, no guilt, nothing. You hold, there's no heaviness here. That's letting go. So you free yourself. That's forgiveness. So a very good analogy here is, and I'm almost coming to the end of the talk, is a good analogy is, you know, you're enjoying your morning cup of coffee, which is very precious to me. I'm a coffee drinker, you know. I love my coffee. I don't like anybody, that's meditation for me. And someone pushes you over and the coffee